Hello everyone! Welcome to the Money Manifestation Masterclass. I'm just gonna pin the comment up at the top so everyone can see what we are up to. How is everyone going with being stuck inside? Hey guys, how are you? I feel like I'm in Australia and obviously like we're not quarantined or anything, and the government hasn't really told anyone if they have to stay inside or not, but I've been trying to and like baking a bunch of stuff as well, which is like great and not great because I'm eating it all as well. Hey guys. All right, cool. Let's get started since there's a couple of you here. So I'm not going to do like a huge intro on who I am because if you're here, you're probably already following me, but I'm Kim. I'm a mindset and manifestation coach. Today we are talking about money manifestation, which is one of my favorite topics to talk about because who doesn't want to manifest more money into your life? So I did not grow up in a super rich family or anything. Like my family was very much like, I guess like solid middle class. Like we never didn't have, or to my knowledge, like we never didn't have enough money. Like I always had food on the table, roof over my head, like extracurricular stuff. Like I guess you could say I was pretty lucky. I had all my basic needs met, but there was a couple of things around my parents' mentality around money that I became very aware of as I grew up. It was like my parents, obviously I don't want to say too much about them because it's their story and it's the internet and it's not really my place to share it, but I guess the attitude that they kind of had was like, my mom is an immigrant. She came from Hong Kong, moved to Canada when she was 18, and she really had like that work ethic of like you have to work really hard for your money. And I think there was times where it kind of felt like my parents were stressed about like not having enough money, even though like we had all our basic needs met. And also the things that they would say around people who had money are the things that I really feel like now as an adult that I paid attention to. Like it was very much like almost kind of a negative attitude around people who had a lot of money. Like if we saw someone driving a really nice car, like they would kind of make a remark like, oh, they're an asshole driver because they must be rich, or like whatever. Like it was kind of a negative attitude towards people with money. Or like if we would walk by a really nice restaurant, they'd be like, oh, well, we're not rich like that, or things like that. So it was kind of like on a very subtle level, like they were never like, oh, we hate rich people, but there was very much this attitude of like, oh, there's like people with money and they're kind of bad, or they're like just sitting there making their money, or like, and like they're not, like we're different from them. I think that was the thing I really got from them, is it was that constant attitude of like, we're not rich like them. So I feel like in the past couple years, I've really had to do a lot of work around reprogramming that, because when you're running your own business and you want it to be financially viable, like you can't hate on people who have money, because your subconscious will never allow you to become something you hate. So if you hate people with money, your subconscious is like, that's a bad thing. We're not going to allow you to have more money. So straight away, you're kind of blocking yourself from those things. And as an entrepreneur, you hold the energetic capacity in your business to make money. And this is more geared at entrepreneurs, but obviously like if you have a job or like you work for someone else, I think in society it's a lot more ingrained into us that like the normal way of making money is that we like go to work, we have a salary, and we get this like exact payout like every single week. And so like anything outside of that, or when you start creating your own channels of making money for yourself, we have a lot of programming that we have to reprogram, because running your own business is not like that, because it fluctuates so much. And so we have to do a lot of work on ourselves around what we believe is possible for us making money, how much we think we're worth. I know when I started my photography business, I really struggled with this, because I was like, oh my God, like how do you even price? Like how do I know what to charge for an hour of my time? How is like anyone even going to pay me? Like if you're an entrepreneur, you've probably been through that experience as well, where you've been like, how can I charge anyone for what I'm making? So today I am going to teach you about like what my process is for manifesting money, how to unblock yourself from the blocks that we pick up through childhood and even just like culturally, just even like of the collective, like what everyone believes, how to unblock yourself from that. And then some more pragmatic tips around like money management, and also the more kind of like woo-woo, esoteric, like mystical practices that I like to involve around manifesting money. So it's really going to be like an all angles targeted approach for how to manifest money, because it's not, when I say manifesting money, I think a lot of people kind of get hung up on thinking like, oh, you're just sitting there waiting for money to come out of the sky. No, like it's not going to be like that. Like you are going to have to do things to get the money, but I'm saying that when you raise your energetic capacity for what you can call in, then you're kind of creating ways for additional money to come to you, whether that's through your job, your side hustle, or like you can even manifest money in the craziest ways. Just as a little side note, like as an example of this, I think it's really good. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but it's really good for us to hear examples of ways that people have manifested money that are unexpected, because then this shows our subconscious that it's possible for money to come to us in ways that we don't expect. And a recent way that I wanted to share that I manifested money is I had my car recalled, and they sent a letter to my house randomly, and they were like, okay, we're like recalling all the Hondas of this year because the airbags don't work, like the car's so old, we're not going to repair them, we're just going to give you a payout. And so that payout was almost double for what I paid for the car originally. So just as a random example of how money can come to you in an unexpected way, like obviously there's nothing I could have done to predict that, there's nothing I could have done to make that happen, but I have like a high energetic value around money coming to me. And so because of that, and because I'm open and expanded in that vision of like money coming to me in ways I don't expect, it does, because we get what we believe. And if you believe that it's possible for money to show up for you in ways you could never imagine, that's what you're going to create in your reality, because your brain always is going to show you more of what you believe. And that's what they mean when they say you're creating your reality with your thoughts, because it's like when you tell yourself that this is what you believe, your brain thinks it's a whole lot easier for you to just be congruent with what you already believe. So this is why you see examples of like, say you believe that relationships don't work out and no one stays together, like you're just going to keep seeing examples of bad relationships because that's what you've told your brain you want to focus on. And whereas the opposite, if you see a lot of you believe that it can work out for people, you're going to see lots of examples of that happening. So it has to be the same around money. Like we need to expand our vision into what we believe is possible. So that's why it's so important for you to find examples of people that you can relate to, and that have the things that you want, and more specifically in this case, like the money or the income, or they're making the money the way that you want. Like if you're starting a business, it's really to your benefit to find someone that you can relate to from like a cultural background, like a an economic background, that has created the success that you want to create, and just like immerse yourself in their world so that you can really show your subconscious that it's possible for you. Because when your subconscious believes it's possible for you, it goes to work creating it for you, because it doesn't have that barrier telling it that it's not possible. So when it comes to manifesting money, the first thing I kind of think needs to happen is you need to unblock yourself. You need to uncover like everything that's blocking you from manifesting the money that you desire. Our money stories are pretty much picked up from the ages of 0 to 8, roughly 14 from our primary caregivers. That's kind of the age where we're in like a hypnotic brain state, and we're absorbing everything that we believe about the world, and that includes the things that we hear about money, and it gets stored in our subconscious. So that's why your conscious mind doesn't really it's not really super aware of it, because it's like fish aren't aware of the water they swim in. It's kind of the same for you and your beliefs. Like you're not necessarily going to realize that you have them until you change them and you see how much that old belief was affecting what you believed previously. So I want you to think about like what were the things you heard about money from the ages of like 0 to 8? Like what was the attitude in your household around it? Like did you hear things like money is the root of all evil? Or did you hear things like money doesn't grow on trees? Or like people with money are bad? All of these things kind of get implanted into our subconscious, and so that's why on a conscious level we can be like, oh yeah, I want to have more money, but your subconscious is being like, heck no, you are not going to have more money, because remember when your dad said that rich people are evil. And so our primary thing that we search for in life is to be connected and to not be rejected. So if on some level you believe that you having a lot of money is going to get you rejected from like your tribe, essentially, your brain is going to make really sure that that doesn't happen to you. It's going to do everything it can to sabotage you from that on some level. So it might look like, yeah, you get like a bunch of money, but then you're going to spend it straight away, or you're going to manifest a bill that's like the exact amount. So no one is born with the beliefs that they have around money. No babies come onto the planet thinking like, I don't deserve money, because money is just a construct. It's something that humans made up. And so like, think of it almost as like money is energy, and it's a neutral energy. It's not good and it's not bad. So imagine like just try on the phrase for size being like, oh, I never have enough energy, or like no matter how much I work I can't hold on to my energy, or energy is evil, or only rich people have energy. Like it sounds really ridiculous when you start putting it that way, because you have to start seeing money as that it is an energy, and you are just as worthy as having it as anyone else. But we need to go back into all the blocks that you have around why you think you can't have it. And it can get tricky on some levels, because a lot of it is subconscious. A lot of it is not in your conscious mind. Like if you think of your mind like an iceberg, and your conscious mind is like the top 10% you can see above the water, and your subconscious is like the 90% that's underneath, but that's what's steering the ship. Like I forget the exact number, but I think it's like 75% of our habits are run from like our actions are run from a habit, and those habits come from your subconscious mind. It's like how if you get in a car and you like drive somewhere that you've been before, and how many times have you been like driving there and you get there and you realize you haven't been paying attention at all, and you're like, oh my god, how did I even get here, like without running into someone? That's your subconscious mind. It's saved that how to do those things inside of it, so that your conscious mind could be somewhere else, but your subconscious is still going to get you there if you've already done that thing. And the more we have a repetition of thought or habit, the deeper that is ingrained in our brain, like the more connected those neural pathways are. So that's why if you have believed something about money for a really long time, it might take a little while for you to start changing what you believe about it. But a really good way to start seeing what your money beliefs are is like, one, I would write down everything you remember hearing about money from when you were growing up, like just everything you remember your parents saying, like what was the attitude around money in your house. A lot of our ability to manifest money, it comes from our primary caregiver of the same sex. So like if you're a woman, like what was your mom's relationship to money? And take a deep look at yourself. Are you playing out a similar relationship to hers? And in what ways? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it helping you? Is it not helping you? And then also when it comes to your business, specifically your pricing, I would write down everything around like why you think you can't make the money that you want to make. Like, is it because society told you that like the whole starving artist thing is true? Is it because maybe you don't believe you're worth it on some level? Maybe you don't have any examples of people doing what you want to do and being like self-sufficient on it. Like you have to really dive into like what is everything you believe about money and your ability to make it. Do you believe you have to work really hard for money? Could you find examples to believe that, to show that that's not true? And then once you've kind of figured out what those things are, you need to go about unblocking them. And so the ways that I like to do this is either like rewriting your beliefs for what you believe about money, like writing down Like, say, for example, you believe you have to work really hard for money and that's the only way money can come to you. What if you started rewriting that to being like, um, I believe money comes to me with ease and flow, and seeing how that feels. Like, this is a very personal thing, but you kind of have to rewrite it in a way that your brain isn't going to straight away like just object to it. So if you writing down something like that is just too much for your brain to even take on, and your brain just has all these reasons why it believes that's not true, then even writing down being like, I'm open to money coming to me in ways that I couldn't expect, or I am open to this. And so your brain might be a little bit less likely to just shut it down if you're, instead of writing that you believe that to be true, like writing down that you're open to it kind of changes the vibe around it. So once you've unblocked and figured out what your stories around money are, a lot of people, when they say they want to manifest money, you're like, how much money do you want? And they're like, I want more. But I could give you $1 and then you would have more money technically. So that's why we need to get specific with this. And I think sometimes our dream lifestyle costs a whole lot less than we anticipate that it's going to. Like, have you ever written down exactly how much that lifestyle is going to cost you? Like, how much is the house that you want to live in? How much is the car you want to drive? Write it all down and see how much it costs. It might be less than what you expect, but it's giving you a number to aim for. And so also giving your money purpose. Like, say, for example, you want to have like $100,000 a year, but right now you're only making $50K. So writing down, like, what would you do with that extra money? What do you want it for? Like, why do you want that number? What exactly are you going to do with it? Sometimes I like to say, like, the universe is kind of like your dad. Like, you're like, I want money. And he's like, okay, but what do you want it for? Like, do you have a good reason for it? What are you going to do with it? And I think a good enough reason is because it'll bring me joy, or because I'll have fun with it, or because I will go and do like this experience and it will be fun for me. Like, it doesn't need to be like I'm going to change the world with it, but I think you do need to know the why, because having a strong why is like what's going to carry you through for doing anything. So what do you think the feelings are that you're going to have from having that money? Is it like safety? Is it security? Is it like freedom? And thinking about like, how can you embody those feelings now? How can you feel those feelings now? How can you write down like 3 things that make you feel that feeling right now? And how can you start living it out every day as if you already have it, as if it's already yours? And also another huge thing that when it comes to manifesting money is like, are you in your true authentic purpose? Like, are you doing what you came here to do? Are you in a job that lights you up? Are you working on something that is going to make the world better? Are you really living your true authentic purpose? Because when you are living your true authentic purpose, I think you will notice that money and resources and everything starts flowing to you a whole lot better, because the universe wants to fuck with people who are here and doing the work that they came to do. So the universe wants people who are here and like making the moves and showing up and like living out their purpose. So if you don't know what your authentic purpose is, you need to start doing some work around it. And if you're not there yet, that's totally okay. But it's like, are you taking daily steps towards that thing? Because for me, I've realized the more I am in my true authenticity, the more the universe just shows up for me. The more the universe just starts showing you ways of manifesting money in like things that you could never expect. And so also this, I was kind of touching on this a little bit before, but it's like, are you expanded in the ways that you can receive money? Like, I think all of us can agree right now that with the world being the way it is, everyone is like, oh my goodness, maybe now is the time where it's like, I need to be working from home. I need to have an online business. I need to be doing something that's not dependent on me being face to face with people. And so if you've never met anyone who works online, or you don't have any examples of like people making money in like alternate income streams, or like making money outside of like a salaried job, you need to start going and looking for those people so you can show your brain that it's possible. Like, just using myself as an example, it's like, yes, I run this coaching business and I'm doing that, but I also work as a photographer. I also sell clothes online. Like, I've probably got 3 or 4 different, I sell like online courses, I do like workshops. So it's like that's already like 4 or 5 different ways that money can come to me. So you're just opening these alternate income streams so money can come to you in different ways. And I'm not saying you need to expect that like your car is going to get recalled or something as a way to make money, but it's just showing the universe that you're serious and you're open to money coming to you. So you're opening the channels to that. And it's not like that side hustle needs to be your full-time income. Like, it's like you could do something as easy as just like selling your clothes on Depop. It doesn't take that much time. You just need to start getting creative and thinking about like what are the skills that you have and like how could you help someone with those skills. And if you don't know what skills you have or you don't feel like you have any, like go online and take a course. Like Udemy is a great resource for doing like courses that are relatively inexpensive. Like upskill yourself, like make yourself more valuable in the marketplace, because the more valuable you are, the more money you're going to make. It's just that simple. So part 3, these are the kind of more, I guess, pragmatic, practical tips that I like to use to manifest money. And it sort of builds on what I was saying before about giving your money a purpose. So I have an Excel spreadsheet, and on the first page, I've listed down like every single thing that I have to pay for just to survive. So like included in that is like rent, like food, internet bills, like everything that I would spend every single month. And then you add that up, you've got your number. And then I would put any money off of like past investments. I would put how much I'm planning to pay on that month, how much I'm planning to pay off that month, and I would put that in a separate column. And then I would add in a couple like fun things that I would like to manifest money for, like saving money for a trip, or like a facial, or like a massage, or like something that's like a non-essential thing, but it's just like I would like to have the money for it. And then add that all up. So that gives you your number that you're aiming for that month. And then on the next tab, I would put down all the days of the month, and then every single day I write down like how much money I receive every day. And even if that number is 0, I still go and fill it in, because you're showing the universe that you intend to receive money. And every single time I've done this, I always manifest way more money than I was planning on. Like I usually go way above and beyond, but it's like you're showing the universe and you're tracking everything that comes in. So you're aware of every bit of money that comes in. Like even if I found $1 on the floor, I would put it in, because if you can be grateful for that dollar, you'll be really grateful for like whatever else that comes after that. And gratitude is a huge part of it. So yeah, tracking your money using the spreadsheet is kind of like my number one way of manifesting money and being conscious of like the money I'm trying to create for myself. It gives your brain something to focus on, and your brain loves goals that are like tangible and it has like an end date. And sometimes it's scary to write that number down, but I would encourage you to dream big, because it's like, what if you got everything you asked for? Wouldn't it be better to just like ask a little bit more than what you really like originally intended? So yeah, writing, and also including in that is like what I'm gonna do for the money. Like I'm not just sitting there expecting like money is just gonna fall out of the sky for no reason. Like I'm doing my part, being like, here's what I'm gonna do in exchange for the money. Like here's the actions I'm taking every day to get to it. I'm asking the universe for guidance, be like, this is how much I want to manifest, like show me what I need to do to get there. Because it's like, it's a co-creation with the universe. It's not just like you doing all of it or the universe is doing all of it. It's like you're doing this together, so you can always ask for guidance even when you're feeling stuck. And then also, this might sound a little weird depending what bank you're with, but I have 8 accounts open in my bank, and I bank with ING, so there's no fees. So it's been a really helpful way for me for figuring out how to allocate my budget, especially as someone who's self-employed. So what I do is I've broken it down into like my rent, food, petrol, like all those like daily living expenses is one account. And then there's one for education, there's one for like money for play, there's one for long-term savings, like saving for like a trip or something, and then there is like a financial freedom account, which is like you put money in it and you can't take it out unless it's to use it for like investing or something. And so in those accounts, every time I get a paycheck, the way I divvy it up is like 55% goes to like my essential needs, 10% goes to each of the savings accounts, 10% goes to the play account, 10% goes to education, and I forgot to say 5% goes into a donation account. So it's so important to like, if you're expecting to bring money in, you need to be willing to give it out, and like to something that's not gonna just give you something back in return. Like donating money, sharing your wealth is like one of the best ways I know for manifesting money. And if you feel like you have nothing to give away, you extra need to do it, because you're showing the universe you are grateful for what you have, and you're gonna manifest more from that. So yeah, 5% donate it to like your favorite charity or whatever. And if you can't, like if you really can't imagine giving away 5% of your money, donate your time. But like, it's so important for us to band together as a community and support each other, because we're all in this together. So whether that's time or money, whichever one works for you, I highly encourage you to do that as part of your like money manifestation practice. And another thing that I like to do is renaming my bank accounts to something that is inspiring for me. Because say, for example, the long-term savings account, if I rename it to like trip to the Maldives, I'm going to be way more excited every time that I put like that 10% of money in there, because in my mind, I'm like, I can see it. Like this is going towards my trip to the Maldives, and then you're going to be excited about it. And the more excited you can be about your money, the more you're going to manifest in, because like sometimes I think it's good to think of money like a person, because if you're excited to see money, money is going to be excited to come to you. If you're afraid that money will never come back to you when you spend it, it's going to be like, you're being so needy, I'm not coming back to you. Treat it in that energy as if you would treat a friend, and money will always treat you as a friend. So part 4, energetic practices around money manifestation. So the last bit was more on like the practical, pragmatic, like budgeting tips. This one is more around your energetics of how you see money. So I don't know if any of you guys have done like EFT or tapping, but there is obviously so many times where it's like you get a bill, you're stressed out, you don't know where money is coming from, and you have kind of two choices. Like you can sit there and be really anxious, or you can like move that energy through you and just like acknowledge it. And so I think tapping is really good for that, because it works basically by tapping on meridian points in your body, which like clears the stagnant energy while you're talking about the problem, and that's what helps you move through it. And then you talk about, after you've like kind of talked out the problem, and then you start talking about it in the positive and being like, these are the things that I'm going to input as my new beliefs. And I'm not going to get into it too much here, but if you go on YouTube and search for Tap with Brad or Gala Darling, they have so many resources. And so if you look up just like Tap with Brad, like money tapping, you will find something that suits all of your needs. And so anytime you're feeling stressed or anxious about money, I would really encourage you to go and do one of those tapping videos, because like whatever happens to you, like suffering is always optional. It's a choice. You don't have to stay in that vibe forever. Also, the next thing I'd like to talk about is RTT, which I have the books open for RTT sessions starting in May. RTT stands for Rapid Transformational Therapy, and basically we work to go back to discover the root of your problem, and then we rework the meaning of it, and then re-imprint new beliefs into your mind. So think of it kind of as like upgrading the software in your phone. Like you wouldn't just like have your phone and never update the software ever. Like you're learning and growing, you're like getting new beliefs. And like I was saying before, like most of your actions are run from habit. So if you can change the habit, you change your outcome. So that's why I would really encourage RTT for anyone who feels like they do have blocks around money or confidence or like making money. Send me a DM if you're interested in this. I'm not going to go too much into it here, but if you're interested, you can send me a DM and I can chat with you more about it. And then also, the thing about money is like your net worth is like related to your self-worth. Like if you have high self-worth and you know you're worthy and deserving of money, you're going to manifest money. So it's like, how worthy do you think you are? How deserving do you think you are? Like, I know these are kind of big concepts, and it kind of can be hard to break this down into being like, why is money related to that? But like, money and love are so interrelated. When, hi Gabby, I'm so excited for you to come back. um, Money and love are like so tied into each other. And so when you start raising your self-worth in one area, you start to see your self-worth being raised in all of the areas. Like when you unblock love, it's like you unblock money as well, because they're both tied to how deserving and worthy we are. um, and also, as kind of, I think self-worth is kind of like, it's such a big word, and sometimes I remember at one point googling like, what does self-worth mean, like what does it mean to have high self-worth? But it's basically like how deserving you believe that you are of the thing. And deservingness is really the vibe you need to get into if you want to manifest anything, because it's like, no one has manifested $1 million and not felt like they deserved it. Like, think of lottery winners who went from like nothing to having millions of dollars, and they've done studies on it, and most of those people go back to exactly where they were before, if not worse, because on some level they don't believe they're deserving of having that money. So it's like, if you're planning on manifesting winning the lottery, like, you need to be raising your self-worth in that area so that you're able to hold on to it. Because when something, our brain loves what's familiar to us, and so it will always be seeking out to create what's familiar to you. And if what's familiar to you is struggling and being broke, or like not having enough money, your brain's always going to be trying to bring it back to that, unless you make a point of making the unfamiliar familiar, which is also something you can work on in RTT. Also doing shadow work. And basically what I mean when I say shadow work is like owning the parts of yourself that you think are not acceptable, the things about yourself that you would be mortified if anyone was to find out about you. It's like, no one needs to love you except for you. And when you start loving yourself, then that gets reflected to you in how the world treats you. So when it comes to doing shadow work, it's like, you need to be the person that starts to own your shit. Like, you need to own all the things about yourself that you think are not acceptable. And when you start doing this, like, crazy stuff starts to happen in terms of what you're able to manifest for yourself, in terms of opportunities and money. Because when you are fully so expanded in that, like, owning your shadow, then you can't help but be more deserving of the things you're trying to call in. And if you really want to dive more into shadow work, I strongly encourage you checking out Lacy Phillips' work. You can do like a la carte workshops. She has one around shadow, and it's so powerful. I did it, and like, I was like bawling so much the first couple of days, but then straight away I manifested like a couple interviews, like career opportunities. Like, magic happens when you start to own your shit instead of just like sweeping it under the rug. And also, like, the phrase abracadabra, it actually means like creating through like your words or something along those lines. And your words really do work like spells. Like, you create with what you say is going to happen. So you really need to start using empowering language for yourself, like saying words like can't, or like, can't is the biggest one, I think, but can't think of the other ones. Oops. I'm not able to. Try. Can't, try. And like, there's another one, but I'm not able to think of it right now. But when you say you can't do things, it's like your brain's just hearing can't. And like, whatever gets repeated, it gets taken on in your subconscious. So when you're saying can't like all the time, you're just manifesting more of your not able to do things. So I really encourage you to just monitor yourself and see how much you say the word can't in like a day or a week. It will probably blow your mind. Another one is try, because it's like do or do not. Like Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. It's like when you're trying to do something, you're never doing it. It's either like, I'm going to do this thing, I'm working on doing this thing, I'm exploring doing this thing. Try is like, oh, there's a possibility I might not do it. So then your brain's like, oh, well, I've already given up because there's a possibility that I might not do it. So I would encourage you to be really conscious of the language that you're using, not just around money, but all the time. Because a big thing that I hear with people being like, oh, I don't have enough money or I can't afford it. If you say you can't afford it, you're just going to keep coming up with ways that you can't afford it. If there's something you want and you don't have the money at the present moment, you can say it in different ways. You can be like, that's not a priority for me right now, or I'm excited to be able to buy that when I have the money. It's like you need to keep showing your brain different opportunities instead of just vibrating at the level of like, I can't have it or I can't afford it. It's like you are totally banned from ever saying I can't afford something after this. There is a million ways you could manifest money, but if you say that you can't, you're just going to set yourself up for that. If you don't pay attention to anything else that I said on this live stream, like walk away knowing that. And the last thing would be like the more mystical practices that I would say around money. So here are some of the kind of like, I guess, more esoteric things that I've been into that I feel like they raise my money vibes. It's totally like, if you are into this, awesome. If you're not, it doesn't mean you're not going to be able to manifest money. Like, you totally can, but these are just things that I've found have worked for me. Doing a Lakshmi mantra. Lakshmi is like the Hindu goddess of like abundance and prosperity. So when you undertake a mantra, it's like you are committing to reciting it 108 times for 40 days straight, because 40 days is the amount of time that it takes to create a new neural pathway in your brain. And so the mantra for Lakshmi is like Om Shri Mahalakshmiya Swaha. I think just like Google like Lakshmi mantra and you'll find it. And so you get a mala, which is like one of those strings of beads usually made out of crystals with 108 beads on it, and you start at number 1 and you say the mantra and you do that over and over until you've used up all the beads. And you have to do it every day for 40 days, and if you miss a day, you have to start at day 1. But I loved doing the Lakshmi mantra because every time I get into doing it, I feel like amazing opportunities just come to me. So definitely vibing with Lakshmi. Another one is there's like a Kundalini meditation, and if you look up Kundalini meditation like for prosperity on YouTube, it should get you the video. But it sounds kind of weird, but you'll be sitting there cross-legged and you kind of like squeeze your like belly muscles and you're like say like the word like HUD. So it's like, and then you're banging your hands together, so it looks like this. It's like HUD, 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 HUD. And you can do 3 minutes up to 11. It's the same with like the Lakshmi chant. You're supposed to do it every day for 40 days, and if you miss a day, you have to go back to day 1. But there's a couple of videos on YouTube that will explain that one better. Just look up like prosperity mantra Kundalini on YouTube, and it should come up for you. If you have an altar, I would encourage you to put money on it so that you're kind of like creating this visual anchor for yourself of like what you want to call in, and also you're reminding yourself you're so abundant. You can have that money just sitting there, but you don't need to spend it. It can be like whatever, like 50, 100, whatever you want. An altar doesn't need to be anything crazy. It can just be like kind of a sacred place for you to put things that either remind you of what you're calling in, or like any gods or goddesses you're working with, or like a tarot card, just anything that seems important to you that works as like a visual anchor, just to remind yourself of what you're trying to manifest. I am all about taking like a 360 approach to manifestation and putting little like visual reminders for myself everywhere, because it keeps me focused on like what I want to intentionally create in my life. Also, doing like the EFT or like tapping every day is so good for when you're trying to or working on manifesting money. I would include it as part of like a morning ritual. I would just do it every day for as long as it feels good. Like, it's really just about reminding yourself of what you're trying to create for yourself, and also like having a gratitude practice around this is so important, because I think so many studies have been done showing that gratitude just leads to higher levels of happiness. And I think when you show the universe you're grateful for what you have, you're just giving it the ability to give you more. And also just making sure that your wallet has like good money vibes going on. Like, make sure all your bills are facing the same way. Make sure your money's got like a nice place to live. Sometimes I like to like sage my wallet to get rid of any bad vibes that are there. Just showing your money respect and giving it like a nice place to live. Also, like if you're into crystals, citrine is like the one for abundance. So I always have, they say you can either put it in like a cash register, or if you work from home, you can have it on your desk. I like to carry it around in my wallet as well. Like I've just got a little one that fits in my bag. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much everything. Thank you guys so much for coming. If you wanted to do more mindset tips, or you are really keen to learn more about how to shift your mindset around like not just money and manifesting, but everything, right now I'm doing a 50% off sale on the 21-day mindset makeover. The link is in my bio, and it's just going to give you like all the tools and tips to get you like feeling grounded, like starting like a daily practice. If you're new to like consciousness or mindfulness, it's going to give you like all the tools that you need to just get yourself started, or maybe you need a reminder. It's just like everything that I have kind of learned over the past 10 years of being into this kind of work that will help you feel balanced and grounded, because I know right now the energy of the collective is really like anxious and we don't know what's going on. So it's like this is the time where we need the work most, instead of when everything is just going great and like we feel awesome. It's like this is the time we need to be diving into doing that kind of work. So yeah, it's 50% off for a couple more days. The link is in my bio. I would absolutely encourage you to get it. It's only $44. Like, it will so be a return on your investment over what you get out of it and the peace that you're gonna feel mentally. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope it was helpful for you. Send me a DM. Let me know if you have any questions or any thoughts. And stay home, wash your hands. I will talk to you soon. Bye.